Hey, welcome back to the Barbecue Toolbox. Hey, today's episode I'm cooking baby back ribs here on the offset smoker. I'm going to show you a beginner's method on how to cook ribs on any cooker for that matter, but just what it takes. You know, a lot of questions we get on how long does it take to cook ribs. Well, like most barbecue, it's when it's done, but here's a good method that we can use to get you in the ballpark on your first few cooks until you learn kind of how the doneness and the tenderness of the ribs go. So follow along. We're going to show you the 3-2-1 method here today and get you started on cooking your first set of ribs on your barbecue pit. Okay, the first thing we do when we get ready to prepare our ribs is pull them out of the bag, get them kind of just rinsed off a little bit, and then what I usually do is I go in and you'll see here I'm going to pull the membrane off just really quickly with a butter knife and a paper towel. Just quickly remove that membrane off the back of the ribs, and then just depending on what you got for your favorite rub, I like something that's got a little bit of brown sugar, salt, pepper, paprika, chili powder, cayenne pepper, onion, and garlic powder. It's kind of what everything that's in my rub, but whatever you like, just go ahead and generously put that over top of the ribs. Just pat it down, and then get that in there maybe about an hour or so before you're ready to cook. Maybe while your cooker's warming up. Get that and put it in the refrigerator and just let it kind of sit out and start absorbing the salt and stuff in the rib, and it'll start to sweat some of the moisture out of the surface of the meat. So that's kind of the first thing we're going to do to get this ready to go. The next thing you have to decide on when you're cooking your ribs is what type of wood you want to cook with. Now for me, I'm going to be cooking with apple wood today, and in the 3-2-1 method, what 3-2-1 stands for is 3 hours cooked in the smoke, 2 hours cooked wrapped, and then the last hour just cooked unwrapped to let the bark settle back in on the rib. So that usually within that amount of time, cooking at around 225 degrees, you should have a pretty well done rib at that point in time that'll come off the bone and have a good bite. So now that I've got the ribs have been in the refrigerator, everything's ready to go now. Here I'm going to take the ribs off the pan and now set them into the smoker. And what I'm going to do is try and kind of lay them out straight as I can. Just get them in there so they in the middle of the smoker so they get kind of an even amount of heat. And now let's just close the door and let's get started on the 3 hours. Alright, we're 1 hour into the cook now, so I'm going to go ahead and take a look, see how they're doing. I'm really just looking for the color right now. See, and other than that, also trying just to see if they're getting a little dried out on the surface. If they are, I'll go ahead and get a little water bottle, give them a little squirt down, and close her back up and let it keep cooking. Alright, we're about an hour and a half in now, maybe a little bit more than that. I'm just going to go ahead right now, give them a little bit of spray of water, and add on a little bit more of my barbecue rub on top of it. Once I get the surface of the ribs wet, go ahead and sprinkle them down with another layer of barbecue rub. So we can go ahead and do that right now, then close them back up and get them back cooking. Okay, it's been about almost 3 hours now since we started. It's about 4:15 right now, so about 2 hours and 45 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and right now is go ahead and open this thing up. I'm going to now go ahead and wrap the ribs. Get some tin foil out. I'm going to then use a little bit of butter, brown sugar, some honey, and then a little bit of my barbecue rub and some barbecue sauce. And go ahead and put all that in to the packet with the ribs as I wrap them up, get them back onto the smoker. It's been an hour and a half now since I've had the ribs on, wrapped in the cooker. It's been running about 275 degrees. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open it up, pull the foil apart, and then check the temperature with my instant read thermometer here. And what I want to do is I'm looking for a temperature in the 200 to 210 degree range. And also, as I poke into the meat in between the two ribs, check for the tenderness. And that's going to tell me if we're done. I have a feeling we're probably going to be about done at this point in time, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a check right now. Alright, so let's go ahead and get these checked. I'm going to pull this first one off here, open it up, and take a look at how it's doing. Oh yeah. So it looks like the meat's pulling back off the bones quite a bit. Let's go ahead and get a temperature check in between the ribs here. 206, 208, that's going to be right where we want it. So, yep. So that one's done. Just going to wrap this up and move this to the side. And we'll check this back one. I'm going to guess this one's probably done too. Yeah, looking, by the looks of it, I'm going to say done. Yep, 207. And you can see how easy we're going in with the probe. So definitely done. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to leave them in the foil here, and I'm just going to kind of fold the foil down like this, fold the ends up, so I'm kind of creating like a little boat, so I don't lose any of this juice inside the cooker. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip these over. And they are tender. A little bit of a falling apart there, but not quite. So I'm going to let these, I'm going to put this back in and let this bark kind of reform a little bit. I'll just let those go for a little bit, maybe about 15-20 minutes, and then I'm going to come back and we'll start saucing them. Okay, as we can see from looking at that, they're definitely done. 206 degrees or so on the instant read thermometer. Really easy for that thermometer to go in there, so the tenderness is right there. Probably went maybe just a little bit too long. So I think on this one, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to be more like 3, 1.5 and half an hour. So the whole entire cook is probably going to be more like, you know, instead of 3, 2, 1, it's going to be 6 hours. It's probably going to be more like 5. And they'll be done. I think it started at 1:30. We'll be done at about 6:30. So that's about right, 5 hours. So I'm going to let these just firm up that bark on the outside, and then in a couple minutes we'll go ahead and get the sauce on them and they'll be ready to eat. Alright, bark is starting to set back up again, so now I'm going to go ahead and put a little sauce on them, and then after we get the sauce on them, we'll close her back down, give it about another 10-15 minutes just to let that sauce kind of set up on the outside of the ribs, and then they're coming off and it's time to eat. Down. All right, there we go. All finished up. Went in, sliced these up into little rib sections here, and I don't know if you can see that. But these turned out really good. The only thing is, I'd say it cooked them a little bit too long, maybe a little too overdone, but no problem sticking to the bone. I mean, coming right off the bone every time. I would have probably done better if I would have checked these instead of at the hour and a half after wrapping them. Probably should have checked them at about the 1 hour mark. They would have I think that would have been better. Thanks for watching. If you like videos like this, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit the bell notification. Make sure you're notified whenever I put out a new video. If you have comments on what you think about how to cook ribs, or if you have any questions on, maybe you got an idea on a video you think I should do to help you out on something, go ahead and put that in the comments below. Also, I'd love to hear your feedback. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.